Clarence.
Hey, what's up? Another edition of The Purpose for Forever.
I'm about to go solo. It's gonna be Samantha is lonely at the top because I'm tired of his shenanigans. He said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "No."
It was too late. I hit the button. It was doing the circle of death.
Yes.
Circle of death.
You should have said,
Get
"I
ready.
started."
Get ready.
No,
get ready. All right. Welcome.
Hi, guys.
Another edition of Purpose for Forever. Happy Labor Day. The Labor Day edition. It's Labor Day. Gotta represent.
Labor Day
whatever that means to you. For some, that's just people that are off. For others, represent. All right. So today we are talking about how to work as a team, how we work as a team.
And as you see the way we started, I'm not sure how much teamwork we got going on.
It's making the dream work. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. So I appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Tag somebody. Tag another couple in here. Let everybody know that Purpose for Forever is in the building. We come on every Monday at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. So we appreciate you. Oh, listen, what up?
Hey, Lisa.
Hey there. Good evening. Thank you for sharing. All right, so let's do this and do this, and spliggity splow. Let's do this. We're back right there. Bam. Welcome back. All right.
Welcome back. I don't know what's happening because the screen is black.
It's not.
But apparently you guys are still there. So.
Yes, indeed. So welcome. So again, make sure you share. Let everybody know that we are in the building. So today we're talking about how to work as a team. We're doing some alley-oops, a couple of audibles.
Yeah, you see, listen, this is a bad way to start this topic because it does not look like we are working well as a team tonight. But I promise, normally, we have a pretty good rhythm together. Normally, tonight I'm not so sure what's happening, but yes, working as a team. So, being married is a job in and of itself. Just to be married, to live together, to merge two lives, two minds, two hearts. It can be daunting sometimes. And then as you add extra layers, the responsibility of it can deepen or maybe become more heavy. So you start off, you get married, then along comes being in one household, having children. As of late, a lot of people are getting into entrepreneurship,
right?
Working together with your spouse. Ministry, there's so many different avenues in where you can kind of go from a husband and wife to being teammates,
right? Definitely.
And everybody doesn't always transition well. I will say for myself, I have been pretty good at, of course he's always my husband, like that doesn't change, but when it comes to ministry, he becomes minister and I'm just sister walker. He's still my husband, but I have learned how to work and complement him in his position, while still remaining, myself.
Right.
Like not being fully consumed with whatever's happening in the moment, and
Right.
also not getting stuck on the fact like that I'm his wife.
Right.
Like I said, we've always
I
managed. Yeah, I know. It's just the way you're doing it.
Oh.
We've managed to, honestly establish a rhythm between us that typically works. Now, there have been times that we have had hiccups, of course, like anything else. It's never perfect.
Right.
It is always a work in progress. So I'll just say some of the ways that it works for us. One thing that works for me when it comes time for us to do something together is I'm confident and sure of the things that I'm good at. And I'm pretty confident and sure of the things that he's good at. So I think a big part of working together as a team is knowing where your strengths and your weaknesses are.
Right.
I think that's important.
Definitely.
Like when it comes to audio stuff, digital stuff, like I already know that's not my area. Right. So I don't try to tell him, how to do it. Right. Like I will give an opinion, like I don't really like the way that looks, or I don't like the way it sounds, but I let him operate in his area. Right. So I think a big part of learning how to work together as a team, or even strengthening your team, is being clear on what you feel your strengths are, and also being honest about what your weaknesses are. Right. I'm more of a hands-on learner. I don't want to read 300 pages of something to learn how to do it. Right. I like to let's get my hands on it and make a few mistakes, and along the way, I figure it out. I learn better that way. He doesn't. Yeah. He's more of the give him the 300 pages.
Right. YouTube it. I need to look at some things. I need to look at it. Then look at it again. And then look at it one more time to kind of get it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, because, like I said, we're pretty clear on the strengths and the weaknesses. Right. It helps us to work together as a team. Like he knows the areas in which I excel at. Right. So those are the things that he pushes me towards. Right. And vice versa. And on the same note, like he knows the areas that I'm not as strong as. Right. And not so much of him keeping me away from it, but it's like, okay, well, last time you kind of did it this way. Right. Maybe we could try it a different way this time. So also communication. Yeah. But I'll leave it my one. I know I was about to go too far.
So knowing, working as a team, right? And knowing, like you said, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, knowing, like for me, my weakness is the organization part. Like if there's an event or we're doing something like the far out, like it's all the way over there. We got to plan the steps to get there. I'm going to hand it off to her. And I'm like, you tell me where to put or input, and you need me to do what, or whatever it is. I know what I need to do. You tell me when I need to jump in, and this needs to get rolling, because she's more the systematic in place, and this has a caveat. She hates, it's a hate. She hates last minute. She hates it. If anybody watching, she hates it.
You didn't have to put my business in the street. We supposed to be talking about how we work together.
But no, I'm just saying. So I know, like, I can't last minute her with things, And if it is a last minute, I have to find a way to kind of, all right, I'm gonna do all this. I just need you to do this part right here because I can't do this. Try to make it as easy as possible. And the first thing she's like, I hate last minute, right? I'm like, I know. I just do this part. I get the rest. I'll struggle. I'll hustle. I'll run. Because I know it's last minute. And in that, we realize it's like let people know the truth. Hey, Shanetta.
Hey, Shanetta, it's some truths that are unnecessary for this particular conversation.
Yeah. But definitely working together, knowing the strengths and weaknesses is key. Right? That's being a team. There you go. The strengths and weaknesses are definitely big. But you're gonna parlay into the communication part, and I'll add something to that.
Okay, so yes, another big part is communication.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard.
Right. So we stress Sam, it affects Anthony. Yes.
Just pick on Sam night. No, communication is important. Sometimes it's hard to tell somebody that they're not good at something, or that you don't like the way they do something. That can be a difficult space. Yeah. Again, for me, I don't particularly have a hard time communicating. Right. Sometimes I have a hard time phrasing what I want to say. Right. To get my point across and to be, I guess, mindful of my audience. Right. So I can admit that. Like, I know that about myself. He kind of knows that about me as well. But, when it comes to us and there's something that we need done, I've learned with him, like, if we're in the middle of doing it and I'm like, you're doing it wrong. Oh, it's like I have thrown a bomb right in the middle of the room. Right. So, like, I've learned that I have to wait until we've passed that hump. Right. Like, we've completed whatever, the objective is. Right. And then kind of, okay, well, let's talk about how it went. Right. Right. And then relay my thoughts of what I think may not have gone the way I had in mind. Right. Because that's another part in communicating. A lot of times we have stuff in our head that's not necessarily right or wrong. Yeah. It's just the way we think it should be done. And I would say, especially as being a woman, we definitely have ideas of how we think a lot of stuff should be done. And in our mind, that's the right way to do it. Right. And as a woman, I'm going to say this, we be so wrong. We are so wrong at that. We get that wrong so often because it's not that the way he does it is wrong. It's just not the way that I would have done it. Right. So there is a difference. And being able to communicate exactly what you mean to say. Yeah. And then make sure they hear what you mean and not always what you say. And I know that sounds weird, but sometimes somebody can say something to you, right, and what you hear is not really what they meant. Mm-hmm. So when you're communicating, especially as it relates to your spouse and either working on something or raising kids, right, because that's a big area where you have to be a team. You have to be a united front. Right. Sometimes, you have to just let it ride. Okay, well, your dad said this, and then later backtrack. Right. So for us, again, a good tip for working together as a team is communicating. Right. And then communicating again. And then sometimes before you go back into a situation, being like, remember last time this happened, we don't want that to happen again. Right. And like, Shanetta and Sean are on here, like when we do events and things happen and stuff, whatever, I'm big on, okay, that didn't work the way that I've had in my head. So let's make sure next time that we do X, Y, and Z. So communication is a big part. Yeah. And then try to stay away from the trigger words, right? Mm. You always do it. Right. Always is a big deal. Yeah. We said recapping. Absolutely. Right. The always is a big deal. Never, you don't ever. Yeah, that's like a no. Using the word right and wrong can be tricky too.
Right.
Because when you say you're doing it wrong, like there's like this really retarded saying that says more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know why you be skinning the cat, whatever, it's a saying. There's more than one way to do something. And his way may not be wrong.
Right.
It's just not my way.
Right.
So the always, the nevers, right and wrong, kind of like a slippery slope when you're communicating, using those words. A lot of times it's good to start with what you think was right. Or the parts that you were happy,
right,
or that you think went well.
Right.
Because if you just come in hot, oh my God, this is wrong. A lot of times people tune you out.
Right.
Even your husband, he tuning you out. He looking at you, but I can assure you, he is far from you. So those are words that I definitely, and I'll speak for myself, I definitely try to stay away from those words. Because it makes the team like we're not huddling, like the team is expanded. He's still there, he's still sort of in the game with me, but we're not operating at full capacity. Definitely. So the communication is a big part.
Yeah, it truly is. It really makes a difference in everything we do. We've always, probably for a while, we come back to the word expectations and knowing what to expect either in a moment. She said, sandwiches. I like that you did this. This made me feel some type of way, but I enjoyed this part. Yeah, it's sweater to the sweeter to the tummy in a sandwich. Right. Definitely. But yeah, that communication really makes a difference as far as like what's the expectation of what we're doing. Even when you're coming together, like talk about blended families, or not even blended families, like just having your own kids, you have a lot of conversation, but you don't have every conversation.
Right.
So
not until something happens.
The things you not talked about.
Right.
And even when she said like the trigger words, or even, each one of us grows up slightly different, no matter how similar certain situations are. Something happened in my household that didn't happen in her household. Something happened in my household, in her household, that didn't happen in my household.
Too much.
So some things don't affect me the way they affect her.
Absolutely.
And so if I deal with our children in a certain manner, it may put her into a place. And she may not say it then, she may say it, but like talk about it later. Like I know, and we go through the moment like, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but when you did such and such, that really bothered me.
Right.
I know they probably even deserved it, but when you did such and such, that really bothered me. So it's kind of like, so I need to decide either I can modify it and approach it differently, or I could say, okay, babe, I'm gonna try to do different, but they just did such and such. So they we went this route, I've been talking to him all day, so it's just having the communication and not, I think the key is just trying not to be defensive, trying not to be defensive and understanding that you are working together. We have one common goal. We're trying to get our kids to adulthood as whole as possible.
Absolutely. As close to one piece as we can do that.
As possible. The least amount of trauma, the least amount of issues. It's going to be something they're going to experience, but the least amount, I think that's just our generation. If we can just get you there without being jacked up, without having too many hangups. I think that's the goal. And so that happens with our communication. Right. So we're not so sheltering that, they can't experience anything. And then we're not so free that they experience way too much, way too early. I think that's some of the balance that we wrestle with as parents. But that's like one set of it, right? The communication with our children, communication as far as working together to make sure the household is running in an efficient manner, what I'm good at, what she's good at. and things of that nature. And like we said, the expectations. Another part, we all. Oh, okay.
No, good.
Oh,
okay.
you touched the knee. I thought it was my trick.
Just touch it.
But another part, there's always, you might want to seek income outside of your jobs, or you might want to start a business. And it's, do you think you can work with your spouse in a business sense, in a business environment? Do you have the patience, or does she have the patience? Because it's one thing in a house, but when it comes to a business, everybody works differently.
I don't think so. I think the same. Well, for me, the same principles apply.
Right.
Like the same way, like working together, I still know what I'm good at. Right. I know, what my area is. I'm still going to lean on the things that you do well.
Right.
Like I still need to communicate with you, what I think, where I think we could do things better. Right. I think the general principles realistically can kind of work in any area. That's what I'm saying. Like, even getting into entrepreneurship, I don't really think there's things that should change. I think you still have to know what your teammate, your partner is good at. Like if at home, let's just say at home, the wife pays the bills. Right. For whatever reason, she pays the bills, husband brings the money home, she pays the bills. And then you guys go into business. Right. And now, because it's a business, I'm going to handle the money for the business.
Right.
Like, okay, fine. Let's see how that can work. I think it's still sitting down and talking about, what areas work. Maybe through conversation, through communication, right, he'll realize, that's not really.
That's my area.
Yeah, it's not really my area. Right. Or you might realize that, he's just allowed you to pay the bills because you've always done it so well, and it's one less thing that he has to do. Right. So, but I think communication still would, iron that out. Definitely. I don't think too much changes in entrepreneurship.
I think proximity and the time together changes. Like where, say, we have our different schedules. We might have our days we're together, and we just kind of, like, I have my roles. Mm-hmm. But now everything kind of meshes together in the sense where there's more conversation about, like, what I'm doing, my creativity. I need, if you're handling money, now I need to kind of, in a sense, just because you're the company, we're justifying, hey, I need to take this $5,000 and put it over here, right, because I'm trying this thing over here, and it's more explanation where if I'm doing by myself, this is good, this is gonna work. Like, I don't have to break it down. Let me give you an example, and kind of shifting a little bit, and something I had to learn, right? So I can get into a lot of things, a lot of businesses, they attract me, and I consider getting into things. Mm-hmm. So like normal, even MLMs, and outside of that, you get a presentation. Everything gives you a presentation. This is what you get, cost this much. Boom, I'm in, excited. Like, I may not verbally get it, because that was the one trick. I was like, I got to stop verbally saying I'm going to do something without talking to the wife, because there's going to be time and some money. So after I learned that, I get excited, but it's communicating and having enough information to present it to Sam. Mm-hmm. And in that, she's going to hit me with the questions. Now, I'm going to keep it real. At first, I'm like, she just don't see things. I'm the visionary. I see this thing, but she asked valid questions. She asked,
right?
Yeah, she asked valid questions. She's like, how's this going to work? What if this happened? What if, and I'm like, let's go. So, it was learning how to take all my excitement, ask this right question, because of the things I know she's going to ask me, and being able to share that with her, so that she can see what I see. A lot of times the communication just has to be able to be clear. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, but at the same time, I think just at the base of it, you have to be a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the base of it, you have to start off, we're on the same team.
Right.
Like even your outlook, your questions, your probing, at the heart of it, I have to know that we're on the same team. Right. You're not trying to, stop me from being a visionary. You're not trying to, attack my ideas or belittle me. We have the same objective. So I think long as that, like,
I need to plug it in. Go ahead.
What is
the computer not plugged?
Oh, okay. So understanding that we have the same objective, I think that goes a long way. I don't know what's happening. I feel very lost tonight.
We're good.
But I think that's the thing. Like just understanding your roles, like how you complement each other.
Right.
That's important. I think being a team is, because some people are married, but you can tell they clearly aren't teams.
Right.
She said,
business-wise, we expect that our spouses see the vision the way we do, because me, essentially, right? We forget they don't have the same brain we have, right? And that's where my vision versus our business success gets confusing.
Right.
Indeed.
Right. We and like I said, we're gonna think different. Right. That's how we complement each other. Because if we both think the same way, like to some degree, we're not as effective, as we could be. Like I need for him to be able to see what I don't see.
Right.
If he looks and all he ever sees is what I see, we're sure to crash eventually, because there's going to be something that I don't see and then he don't see.
Right.
So, I feel like we're destined for destruction. Like somebody has to be able to see what the other person misses.
Right.
Like that's kind of, like how the team works together.
Right.
It's not about we have to be alike. Like, I mean, yeah, we think we may be like-minded.
Right.
We have to have some of the same goals, some of the same objectives. Of course, like for our family to be successful, to be able to meet our needs and have some of the desires of our heart. Like some of those things have to be the same, but like she said, we are two different people. We have two different trains of thoughts, and what I bring to the table has to be acknowledged and appreciated.
Right. It definitely has to be. We have to just know our spouse, and like she said, knowing her, and it took me a while to really appreciate that, to appreciate her seeing things that I don't see, to bring questions up that I didn't think to answer, or not answer, think to ask, has helped giving a lot of clarity in our direction, and even in our vision of, things that are happening. And and it's funny because we work, whereas, she gets something and they get like a 10-page document. It's like, all right, babe, this is your spot where you go through it. Let me know, give me the synopsis on that, and we'll shoot forward, because, I like to go through those kind of things, especially like contracts and stuff like that. That's my thing. And I'm like, okay, I think it's good. They say this, and this, there's no extra. And she'll hit me with the questions like, yeah, they're not charging or what, how it works out. It seems clear cut based on what I read. But we work together and you figure out, I think that's the key though. Like just figuring out, what your spouse is good at, where their strengths lie, like where it's like where you end and they begin. It's like, how do we mesh together so that we're successful, not just in business, but even in our household. Everything's happened, something go wrong. She's like, that's your thing. You're like you're right. That is mine.
I'm good for that. I'm good for stepping back and being like, oh no, that's your area. Like I don't want to infringe on your area.
Yeah.
Like I need you to handle your area. That's a learned behavior.
Right.
Like sometimes we get into the mind of I have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I'm a one-woman show.
Right.
And then I'm just trampling all over everything. And I'm just everywhere doing everything. And two things happen. One, I burn myself out.
Right.
But two, I wear my husband out and I make him feel less than important or less than valuable or just less than, because I don't need your help. I don't need your input. I got this. I can do it. I can.
Right.
Now, of course, that is not teamwork.
Right.
Like there is nothing about that says team.
Right.
So it is very important realizing that you are not a one person show. You're not a one person band.
Right.
There is something that your spouse brings to the table.
Definitely.
Like, being a woman, I am the help meet.
Right. Definitely.
Right. Like, and I know this is a big thing with people, like, who's at the top, and I'm not even gonna get into that. I'm saying for me as a woman, I'm a help meet. I am good at knowing what I do well.
Right.
And I try very hard. Am I perfect at it? Nope. Because sometimes I do something, I'll be like, you know what? This is what I get because I shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
And I can self-correct.
Right.
So I think it's extremely important to stay within your boundaries. Sometimes you need to reel yourself back in. Like I can't always harp on his area and what he should be doing with it and how he should do it. Sometimes I just have to focus on my part of the team.
Right.
This is my part. This is what I'm supposed to do, whatever. And even when he's not there, I don't have a problem saying, you know what, I need to take this home and let my husband read it.
Right.
Or let me call my husband and see what he thinks about it.
Right.
Just let me run it by him. I'll get back to you. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I don't, I know sometimes we get into that slippery slope where, oh, you can't make decisions on your own. No, we're a team.
Right. Definitely.
Like, that's another part about it being a team. Like, don't let outside chatter infiltrate the team.
Yeah.
Like, I'm quick to say, you're not going to mess up my happy home.
Right.
Like, so we don't do that. We don't let the social media and the internet.
He said when you do it right as a team, it blends so well. No one knows who's doing which part, right? Because you're a well-blended team, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
We don't let social media or TV or Hollywood or church people or pastors or prophets. None of that. We don't allow that to infiltrate what we build together between the two of us. We have learned, again, through trial and error, that we have to be solid.
Right.
We have decided between I, and Jesus, how things work between us.
Right.
Again, what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, and that's how we operate. Now, over time, things change, right? Like seasons change and things change, and you may want to try different stuff.
Right.
You may have a different outlook than how you felt 10 years ago.
Definitely.
That stuff also needs to come up in conversation.
Right.
Like, we're ever changing.
Yeah.
You ever just wake up and you're like, I feel so different today.
Right. And
somebody, your husband can be like, what's wrong? I just don't feel, I don't know what it is. I just feel different. Right. Like that happens. Like as we age, as we live, as we have different experiences, your mind changes about stuff.
Definitely.
Your perspective changes about stuff.
Right.
The way you think, the way you operate, all of that changes over time.
Right.
If you are the same that you were the day you got married, unless you got married last week,
right.
then I would say either you are a unicorn
right.
or there is something very wrong.
Right.
Because we should all be evolving.
Right.
We evolve as people, personally.
Right.
Like me as a woman, there's some things that I experience and I process and I go through and I change all by myself.
Right.
Just being Samantha long before I'm his wife.
Right.
I'm me. So there's some things that I experience as myself that I have to process into being a wife.
Right.
I have to process those feelings and those thoughts.
Right. It's just when people get less and less.
Right. And like that's one of those things. Like you have to process that into your marriage.
Yeah.
You have to, baby, listen. Like, for some people, so the last few weeks I've been really, really tired.
Right.
I just have not been able to shake it off. I've been feeling really, really drained.
Right.
And I had to tell him, like, this is affecting me.
Right.
It's making me feel irritable.
Right. Right.
It's making me angry and like at you though.
Yeah.
Like I had to communicate with him and let him know, like, this is what I'm experiencing.
Right.
And this is how it's making me feel.
Right.
And so if, like we both need to make some adjustments.
Right.
Because of course I need to process what I'm feeling and make sure that I'm expressing it properly.
Right.
But I also need him to understand what I'm feeling.
Right.
So that maybe you need to deal with me differently as well.
Right.
So I think, the more you change, the more you live, the more you experience, still being connected to this person, still raising a family, having a household with this person, you have to also let that person know how you're changing, how you're evolving. And sometimes you can never have every conversation. To death do us part, for some people that covers a lot of years. Right. You are never going to talk about everything.
Right.
Sometimes things are going to come up and it's like, what?
Right.
When did that happen? Right. And then it's like, listen, okay, maybe we didn't have this conversation, but today this is where we are.
Yeah,
and then being able to talk about where you are and kind of decide how you move forward together. Right. Like, I still love you. Like, I changed, but I ain't changed the fact that I wake up and and you feel totally different. Right. But, just being able to change and allowing your spouse to change. Right. Like, okay, before you only wanted your chicken fried. Now
I want some baked chicken.
Right. Or now you want barbecue chicken or whatever, changes that's happening. It's being able to accept that and allowing people to change and accepting him, as he go through his seasons too. Right. Like, I can't be like, well, you're going to eat this fried chicken until.
Yeah. But, it's also, like with the changes, sometimes there are things that your spouse may do, and I know it's crazy, like they may be natural at it, they may be great at it, but they may turn and say, listen, I don't really like doing this. I've done it because I've always either been forced to do it or, like I've been in a position like I had to do it, but this is not something I enjoy doing. I've gotten good at it.
I feel like you're trying to tell me something.
I'm not telling you nothing, baby kicks. But honestly, just having those conversations, and really having a real conversation about what you're good at and what you like doing. Like, we've had conversations, I push in certain areas. Like, I feel like you're good at, I try to push you there, but I take things that are like this, like, yeah, this is all I want to do. I'm like, oh no, let's do this. And we had the conversation. She's like, babe, I don't want to do all that. I just want this right here. That's it. This is what I want to be at. And now there have been moments where she moves further along, but it's at her pace. It's in her timing.
Back off.
Right. It's in her timing.
Right.
So that's what I've had to learn. Like, so I support her where she's at, and when she's ready to move, we'll move to something big. I'm already ready for it. I'm like, oh yeah, I got it right here. Let's go. Let's blow this up. But I try to move at her pace whenever she's ready. And then it may come a point that she's just like, you know what, that little thing, I don't want to do that anymore, and just accept where we're going. You can't force your spouse to be something they don't want to be.
Right.
You can't make them that. You can't push them in that space. And it's rough sometimes for me because I'm such a dreamer. Like I see things and I'm just like, oh, it'd be so much fun.
All over the place.
Yes.
Just land. Just land. Yeah, he's all over the place. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the creativity. I love the way his mind works. Sometimes he just go off on a tangent. And we have experienced a shift of responsibility from time to time.
It's a good adjustment.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's a good stretching too.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it causes you to stretch sometimes in ways, one, that you probably never thought you would.
Right.
And then two, like you learn something new.
Right.
So sometimes, being along for the ride, it's kind of great. You'll find yourself, doing things that, you never thought you would have to learn how to do.
Right.
Or even you never thought you would enjoy. Because I promise you, 5 years ago, was it 5 years?
Yeah.
5-6 years ago,
right,
when he started all of this online, it was like, let me get you, get who to do what?
Right.
You could not have told me in 2017 that I would be sitting here and have my own show in 2022.
Right.
I probably would have called you a liar to your face because I just didn't see it. Yeah. I didn't see it. I wasn't interested in it.
Right.
It just, for me at that time, it just wasn't my thing.
Right.
Even like the whole couple thing, you couldn't have told me that I would have been doing that either 5-6 years ago, because I used to always say, I don't like people. Like, and in my mind, I meant it.
Yeah.
And he would be, no, not gonna do that either.
Right.
But the silent pushing, the not, the nudging, like he said, the patience, the kind of supporting me ish, where I was, like all that stuff, made a difference. Yeah. It made it easier for me to slide into this space kind of on my own terms and in my own timing. Right. It made a huge difference. Just listening to him rattle on about some of the things he had in his head, I'm like, it must gonna be somebody else that you doing this with, because like I just didn't see it. But it has stretched me in a lot of ways, and a lot of ways, for the better. Like I've learned a whole lot about him, even though I've known him since we were 15.
Right.
Oh, that's like,
long time.
Gosh,
mm-hmm.
That's over 30 years. I'm sorry, I had a moment there. So I've learned a lot about him. I've honestly learned a lot about myself. Some stuff that wasn't too pretty. Like I can be honest enough to say, like, I've learned stuff about myself that was like unfavorable. I was like, oh, did I do that? Yeah, I did that. I said that. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot. I've evolved. I've changed a lot, and it's been great. And throughout the whole process, he's been by my side. Like, he's been my teammate.
Right.
You know, when I get it wrong, he's like, oh, baby, maybe let's try it different next time. You know, he's been there to support me. He's been there to push me along, patiently. You know, push a little bit, they like,
right,
and they push a little bit more. But we've learned a lot in the process, and it's really been great. But just hearing him talk, I didn't see it. Like, and I could have been the person like, I'm just not.
Right.
But in sake of the team, wanting to be a part of his team, wanting to support him, you know, like I went along, I moved along, I got in line, I, you know,
adjusted. So, yeah, I mean, and definitely she helped me as well. Because trust me, the trying to be here consistently, you know, and just trying to stay on this and plow through when things weren't looking the best, you know. And she was, you know, she'd always encourage me. She'd look at me, you're not quitting this thing. you're not stopping. You're not stopping, you know, and pushing me, you know, to stay on track, to keep pushing, to keep doing what we need to do, you know, consistently, keeping me kind of accountable so that I don't get off track, you know, get that far away look. We know we've seen it. You had a job, someone started talking about work and they were looking like, oh yeah, they about to quit. They about to quit. This is probably the last day because they keep saying, I am tired. I'm tired. It's just one more thing. He says one more thing to me. You know, and we see it like, oh yeah, they about to leave. They about to leave. So she has kept me from leaving, from stopping our progress, from getting off track.
We've come too far to turn back now.
So
is
definitely
my motto. We have come too far, given too much, and been here too long,
right,
to turn around.
Definitely. So we appreciate you guys for hanging with us on another edition of Purpose for Forever. Listen, we're gonna hit you with a challenge. And maybe tomorrow, forgive us.
That's his area.
I was lacking in the challenge.
Okay.
So we're gonna hit you with the challenge tomorrow. I have a challenge for you. All right. So if you want to be a part of that challenge, be sure to, where's that joke at? Join our community text P4F to 84576. P4F to 84576. All right. So we look forward to seeing you guys next Monday. Same time, same channel.
And we're gonna have some special guests.
Yeah, we're gonna have some guests on it. We haven't had some of our couples in a long time.
Haven't had anybody on in a while.
I think we've been focused on our events more than.
Oh yeah, like we've definitely been heavy with Lisa, with our face to faces.
Right.
So we've kind of led into that and some other things.
I think because COVID lifted, we need to see everybody. Well, not as strict anyway.
Yeah. We haven't had anybody on in a minute.
We get a game show or something, or just some conversations.
Okay. Game show, too much work. Because I do all the work. So I'm gonna say now we're not gonna do that. We'll
do some conversation. Okay.
We're gonna work it out. But we do thank you guys for supporting us. Thank you guys for being here.
Yes.
It is great for us.
Yeah.
We hope that at the very least it's entertaining to somebody. I mean, you know, in these day and age, who knows?
Indeed. So as always, love intentionally,
love unconditional,
and love on purpose. No.
Why don't you send out a message and say, which one? Hey, brothers, are y'all prepared for the call tonight? I mean, I don't know.
No,
I think you should see, because if somebody was prepared for it,
right.
then you don't want to cancel. That's
Right.
part of the accountability.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, you don't want to be the one flaking.
Right.
So you need to see, who's prepared for the call tonight. Somebody's call. Uh-oh.
Who's that?
Shanetta. Hi, darling.
Oh, did I not end it? Uh-oh.